What brought me here was helping to create it. I see this community as being a place of celebration, appreciation, and love. And considering there hasn't been a celebration here for quite some time, there needed to be something. Juneteenth is recognized almost like MLK as a holiday, but why do we have it, and then what are we supposed to be doing on that day? I believe it needs to be acknowledgement of community's experience. It also needs to be education of why it exists, and also participation as to why we still need to be a part of whatever is created in our community. I just think that there's always an opportunity to teach and to learn, and I'm always looking for both, the dual. Well, that's the fun part. My organization, Belhaven Action, has been committed to community engagement, and we literally take a flyer to everyone's household. Make sure that all 1,440 homes here, plus the apartments, have a flyer of events that are happening in the community, whether it's something that we're hosting or whether it's information that needed to be shared from the city or even from the county of San Mateo. Wow. 10 years, what I've seen is that we have a lot of development happening around our community. Back in 2015, the city was doing a process to update the general plan. It's actually what got me involved. I saw that there was a lot of change happening outside the neighborhood, but not necessarily inside the neighborhood. And for me, if we're going to benefit, it has to be right here with us. And so seeing those changes and not enough happening in here is one of the reasons why I got involved. I do not believe enough of our voices were a part of that process that made sure that in policy that there was really change happening, because right now, again, it's still the same issue 7 years later. All this development is still happening outside the community, but if you look at the community inside, it still looks like it does not look like the rest of Menlo Park. I mean, you look around us, we do not look like the rest of the city. And so change is coming slowly because now we have district elections. In 2018, the city was forced to have 5 districts. And so now District 1 includes the Belhaven neighborhood. It also includes Haven Avenue, which has roughly 600 apartments there. And then also all of the developed area between Bayfront and 101 is a part of District 1. So now I believe we're the top revenue earners for the city. Other people may disagree, but we just look at the property taxes and look at the fact that we have one of the largest companies in the world 4 blocks away from here. So it's hard for me to believe that we're not the #1 revenue generators for the city. So to me, that's change. I believe there is, because they've created a community policy team. I think for me, I always look at, are you hiring directly from the area you want to have the biggest impact? And for me, I think the answer to that is no. Hiring somebody and then having them move here is not hiring from the community. And I think more of that needs to happen just in general. I mean, just speaking about, this was a question I've asked many people. Where do specifically Black Americans go to find jobs here? It's either Jack in the Box or the barbershop. There aren't any other places hiring, not the taqueria. I don't see us at Starbucks. I don't see us at Mi Tierra Linda. And so I look at that. If you really want to include a certain element to or intention to your hiring process, then you come directly here. Even an event like this is a great place to look to recruit. Because I'm sure somebody here is looking for a job, or they're looking to change their employment, or looking to even go to school. You just never know what people are doing. And so for me, I need to see more of that from not just the tech companies, but any company that's around here. Before the pandemic, we would have roughly 80,000 people, right? Just in this neighborhood or just around the neighborhood. And so how many of those people actually live in the community that are working at all those jobs? And that's the thing, I think at least 25%. That's not what we have today. And so if those tech companies or any other company wants to see more community members here being on their payroll, being an employee, then they have to set the intention to actually come here and do hiring directly. It's like if you really are a partner, if you really are a neighbor, then you would want, like I want to say there's at least, in 5 years, I've had 4 neighbors. And so each year I'm looking at how to connect with that neighbor. And for me, and it's not just because I'm elected, it's not just because of Belhaven Action, it's just I want to know who my neighbors are. I want them to know me as well, because when it comes to a crisis, if for whatever reason we have a power outage or a flood, we're going to be relying on one another. And that starts with building relationships. So I think it's on both of us to do it. It's on everybody. I'm not sure why people are actually selling their homes. It could be that there's multiple ownerships there. Someone has passed away. It could be an affordability issue. I would love for people to know that there is an opportunity for you to stay in your homes if that's what you want. There's enough funding around. There is the 3 Ps: preservation, production, and I just forgot the 3rd P. Preservation, production, and wow. It's been a long day. At any rate, there's funding available for preservation. That means we want you to stay in your home. Here's a pot of funding, whether it comes from the state or whether it came from all of these different tech companies that put money in a pot. But there's money available to help keep you in your home. You don't need to sell your house because you can't replace the windows. You don't need to sell your house because you can't buy that new roof. You don't need to sell your house because your house is falling apart. There are programs out there, funding available, that doesn't require you to give anything other than your consent to come in and fix those issues for you. So I want people to know that you don't have to sell. And then if you choose to sell, I hope that you will set the intention to let another community member buy your home. Once that home goes on the market, you take out any viability for community members to be able to purchase. And one thing that I know, out of the 8 Black families that have sold their homes, not one Black family has bought a home. And so that's another reason why you don't see us. It's an element of gentrification, but also if you really want to see change, you really want to see preservation, you have to set that intention. And I know people do it in Oakland Hills. They make sure that they resell their home to another Black family, and that we don't see here. But if you go and look at the market, the majority of our Black homes are what's on the market. What we started to do was actually look at Miss Opal Lee. Miss Opal Lee is considered the godmother of Juneteenth. Her work, her tireless work, and I believe she is either in her late 80s or early 90s, through that leadership in Texas, she has been the reason why the whole holiday has stayed a conversation. It's just like the Reparations Committee. This has been work being done for multiple decades, and now it's actually being work done at a level to make change. But I would start off with Miss Opal Lee. She really laid some very basic groundwork, and it's very simple. I just learned that there's a couple of books about her, but starting off very simple so that people can kind of grasp it, and then also inspire them to want to learn more, because she's just one of many that's helped make change. And the other piece is it starts with one. So if one person doesn't take that leadership, then nothing ever happens. And sometimes you feel by yourself, and usually you're not. Someone else is working on the same thing, and the only way to actually find out is to talk to people, right? Communicate. We just have to keep that circle of communication going, and it's a responsibility of us all. That's the other piece. It's not just up to you, it's not just up to me, it's up to all of us to be able to keep that circle of communication going, and making sure that a part of that circle includes our youth, so that they can say, this is what I see, this is what I've heard, this is how I would like to see change, and just where we all just keep that circle of communication going. Yes, if you are a part of the change. But if the change isn't including the existing community, then no. To me, it doesn't make sense. It's like thinking about an amenity. An amenity for the community impacts the community directly. It's not across the street. It's not on the other side of the freeway. It happens right here. And in policy, you don't see that. And that's been the change that I have been trying to make, and also the current mayor of Menlo Park has been trying to make, is that whatever we're doing in policy impacts the community that exists today. We're not planning for the 3,000 people. We're planning for the people that are here today. That's what's important. Yes, definitely. I have no idea what we're going to do next. A few months ago, we did a health fair. It was the first health fair that has ever been done in this community. So I'm not sure what's next, but stay tuned because I come up with some ideas and then my team rolls with me and tells me how to make it happen. But something is definitely next. I know on Monday I will be participating with Street Code on their event, and that is to tell the story about why the oral history recording booth exists. There have been so many people that we have not captured in conversation from this community that have been the legacy and leadership that needs to be documented, which is why you're here. It's like, come tell the story, because I don't know all of them. And since 2020, I know we have lost a significant amount of community members, even since 2010, about 25%. And so as we move on, it breaks my heart to even say that this community probably won't exist in another 5 to 10 years. And that's because of the overdevelopment around. We have more than 3,300 units of apartments being built. They are not built for this community. They're built to bring people in, which means that our numbers are going to dwindle down to less than 1% eventually. So this project is extremely important to capture our voices because we will not be erased and we will tell our own story. There are two places. It's at bellhavenaction.org. Also, the City of Menlo Park puts information on their website. They have a digest. You could actually sign up for updates there. We make sure we're trying to get a little better using tech, using social media, just to make sure that people are informed and engaged. But I'm hoping, with the blessing of my team, that we're able to do something before the end of the summer.